Everybody has one, a person who lives rent-free in the worst room of your mind. For some people, it's an ex, a former boss, someone who betrayed them. For me, it's a man from when I was a kid. I'm not going to tell you exactly who he was. That part stays mine. What matters is that for most of my life, whenever I thought about him, I was 8 years old again. Small, powerless, frozen. 20-something years went by, and that never changed. And then it occurred to me that I have a tool almost nobody has. I can build any world I want with anyone in it, and I am completely in control. So one night I decided to bring him into my dream and finally say the things that 8-year-old never got to say. Thought I was going in to win. What actually happened was not winning. It was something I didn't have a word for until afterward. Let me explain why this is even possible, because it sounds like fantasy and it isn't. In a lucid dream, once you have real control, you can summon specific people. It's harder than summoning a setting or an object because a person carries emotional weight, and emotional weight destabilizes the dream, but it can be done. You hold the intention, you picture them, sometimes you turn around expecting them to be there, and your subconscious builds them out of every memory you have of that person. Their face, their voice, the way they stand, the specific thing they did with their hands. The dream version isn't the real person, obviously. It's something more unsettling than that. It's that person as your own mind has kept them preserved for 20 years. So for about a week before I tried this, prepared. This is something I'd recommend if you ever attempt something emotionally heavy in a lucid dream, because going in unprepared is how you get thrown out in 3 seconds. Every night before sleep, I pictured the place. I chose the room where most of it happened, a room I hadn't let myself think about in detail in decades. And I told myself calmly, tonight I go back there, and this time I'm not 8. It took 4 nights. The first 3, I either didn't get lucid or I got lucid, and the moment I reached for him, the dream scattered like I'd thrown a rock into a reflection. That's the emotional weight I mentioned. My own fear was collapsing the dream before it could build him. I had to get calm, genuinely calm, not fake calm, before my subconscious would let this happen. On the 4th night, it let me in. I became lucid already standing in that room. I didn't have to build it, it was just there, complete, down to details I didn't know I remembered. The specific light, the specific smell, and yeah, you can smell things in dreams. That surprised me the first time too. And here's the first thing that hit me before he even appeared. I was small. The dream had put me back in my 8-year-old body. I was looking at the room from down low, the way a child sees a room, everything too big, the furniture towering. My subconscious had defaulted to the version of me that lived in that memory, and I remember standing there in that small body thinking, no, not like this, and this is the part I want you to understand, because it's the whole video. I made a choice in that moment. I decided I was not going to face him as the child. Closed my eyes inside the dream and I pictured myself, the actual me, 30 years old, the size I am now, and I felt my body change. I felt myself grow back up into myself in that room, standing at my real height for the first time in that space. It is the strangest sensation I have ever felt in a decade of lucid dreaming, and I'll never forget it. By the way, if there's a person you've imagined confronting 100 times, the conversation you rehearse in the shower and in the car and never get to have, tell me in the comments. Not the details if they're too heavy, just tell me if you have one. I think almost everyone does, and I think almost nobody says it out loud. So I'm standing in that room, full size, and then he's there. My subconscious built him perfectly. In the second I saw him, the old feeling came up the back of my neck like cold water, that automatic fear, the body remembering before the mind can catch up. For a second, I was 8 again, even in the adult body. He looked at me the way he used to look at me, and the dream started to shake, the walls breathing, the light flickering, my fear destabilizing everything. I almost lost it right there, but I'd prepared for exactly this. I planted my feet, and I did the one thing the 8-year-old could never do. I didn't run, and I didn't freeze. I stayed. I looked right back at him, and slowly, the room stopped shaking. And then I talked. I'm not going to give you the whole speech, because honestly, a lot of it doesn't translate outside my own head. It was specific to him and to me. But I told him what he did, out loud, in order, the things I had never once said in 20 years, to anyone, let alone to him. I told him what it cost me. I told him the ways I'd been carrying him around in my body for 2 decades without consent, and the entire time, he just stood there and took it, because of course he did. He wasn't really him. He was the part of my mind that had been holding the door of that room shut, and I was finally on the other side of it talking. Here's what I expected. I expected him to fight back, to do the thing he did, to win again, because in my memory he always won. That's not what happened. What happened is that the longer I talked, the smaller he got. Not metaphorically. In the dream, literally, he seemed to lose definition, lose color, lose the weight he'd always had. By the time I finished, the man who had been the most powerful figure in my entire inner world looked like what he actually was. A sad, ordinary person, someone my mind had been giving a power he never deserved to keep. And then I did the last thing, the thing I didn't plan, that just came out. Turned away from him. I didn't make him disappear. I didn't fight him. I didn't get revenge. I just turned my back on him, which was something the child in me believed was impossible, that you could ever be safe enough to turn your back on him. And I walked toward the door of that room. And as I walked, I looked down, and the 8-year-old was there next to me, walking out with me, both of us leaving together. And then I woke up. I'm not going to tell you I'm cured. That's not how any of this works, and anyone who promises you a dream will fix 20 years of damage is lying to you. But something shifted that night that has not shifted back. When I think about him now, I'm not 8, I'm me. The memory's still there, but his hand isn't on the back of my neck anymore. So let me give you the real explanation, because I think it matters more than the spooky version. Here, there's a recognized form of therapy used for trauma and nightmares called imagery rehearsal. The short version is that you take a memory or a recurring nightmare and you deliberately reimagine it awake with a different ending, and over time it can actually reduce the grip that memory has on you. Your brain doesn't fully distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one, which is the same reason the guilt and the fear in these dreams feel real. So when I confronted him in a fully immersive lucid dream at my real size and survived it and walked out, some part of my brain filed that as a thing that actually happened. A correction to the record, the 8-year-old finally got to see the adult handle it. And you cannot unsee that. That's the rational version, and it's the one I lean on. But I'll be honest about the other piece, the part that stays with me. For 20 years, I believed I needed something from him. An apology, an admission, something only the real person could give me, which meant I was never going to get it. What the dream showed me is that I never actually needed anything from him at all. I needed to hear myself say it, with my own voice at my own full height in the room where it happened. And it turns out that was always something I could give myself. I just didn't know the door would open. I keep thinking about that small body and the choice to grow back into myself before I faced him. And it's made me want to go the other direction next. Not back to the worst day, but back to an ordinary one. Next video, I'm using a lucid dream to return to a completely normal afternoon from my childhood. Nothing dramatic, just a regular day with people who aren't here anymore, to see if I can stand in it again. If you want to see that one, subscribe. Close your eyes, stay awake.